There's a reason why certain groups throughout history operated in absolute secrecy. The Rosicrucians, the Masons, the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, these weren't just social clubs for the elite. They were guardians of something far more valuable than gold or political power. They understood a fundamental truth about reality itself, a formula so potent that keeping it hidden meant maintaining control over those who remained ignorant. What they knew wasn't mystical nonsense or religious dogma. It was a precise understanding of how human consciousness interacts with the fabric of reality, how thoughts don't just stay locked in your head but ripple outward, shaping the world around you in measurable ways. For centuries, this knowledge was passed down through initiation rituals, encoded in symbols and hidden within seemingly innocent texts. The reason wasn't to hoard power. It was because this formula, when misunderstood or misused, could lead someone further from their desires rather than closer. These societies recognized that manifestation isn't about wishing harder or thinking positive thoughts occasionally. It's a systematic process, one that requires understanding the invisible mechanics at play. And at the heart of this guarded wisdom lies something most people completely overlook: the true role of emotions in creating your reality. What you're about to discover isn't theory. It's the exact framework these groups use to transform their lives, and it's been hiding in plain sight this entire time. The Rosicrucians discovered something that modern science is only now beginning to validate. Emotions aren't just reactions to events. They're the actual building blocks of your external reality. These ancient practitioners understood that every emotion you experience sends out a specific frequency, a vibrational signature that the universe responds to with precision. When you feel genuine joy about something you want, you're not just experiencing a pleasant sensation. You're broadcasting a signal that acts as a magnetic force, pulling circumstances and opportunities toward you that match that exact frequency. Here's where it gets profound. The Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn articulated this with stunning clarity. In the pulsations of the emotional sea, we find the genesis of worlds and the palettes of creation. Break that down. Your emotions aren't static. They pulse, they vibrate, they move through space like waves. Each emotional wave you generate doesn't dissipate into nothing. It creates ripples in what these societies called the cosmic ocean, patterns that eventually circle back to you carrying physical manifestations of whatever emotional frequency you sent out. This is why two people can want the same thing with equal intensity, but only one receives it. The difference isn't in the wanting, it's in the emotional signature accompanying that desire. Most people treat emotions as background noise, something that happens to them rather than something they actively create. Secret societies taught the opposite. They trained members to become emotional alchemists, deliberately crafting feelings that serve their intentions. When you understand that sadness, fear, and doubt are transmitting just as powerfully as joy and gratitude, you realize why your reality might not match your conscious desires. You're not manifesting what you think you want. You're manifesting what you emotionally broadcast most consistently. The universe doesn't interpret your words or thoughts. It responds to the feeling tone beneath them, and that's the bridge between the invisible realm of possibility and the tangible world you experience daily. Ancient alchemical texts described something that sounds abstract until you recognize it operating in your own life. Two distinct spheres of energy that exist around every person. One radiates light, fed by positive emotions and empowering thoughts. The other lurks in shadow, growing stronger each time you indulge negativity, fear, or despair. These aren't metaphors. Secret societies understood these as actual energetic constructs that accumulate power based on where you direct your emotional attention. Every moment you spend in gratitude, every experience of genuine joy, every thought of abundance feeds the luminous sphere. Conversely, dwelling in resentment, entertaining worst-case scenarios, or replaying past failures strengthens the darker one. The Masons captured this principle with surgical precision. Where the mind lingers, energy converges. Your attention isn't passive observation, it's active creation. Whichever sphere receives more of your focus doesn't just grow larger, it begins operating at a higher frequency, pulling circumstances into your reality that match its energetic signature. Think of it like compound interest. A small deposit of emotion today might seem insignificant, but consistent deposits create exponential growth. The positive energy ball doesn't just attract good experiences randomly, it accelerates the manifestation timeline itself. The larger and more vibrant it becomes, the faster your desires move from possibility to reality. Here's what makes this dangerous if misunderstood. You can't just ignore the negative sphere and hope it withers. Suppressing negativity doesn't diminish it, it feeds it in hidden ways. The technique these societies taught involved conscious redirection. When you catch yourself feeding the shadow sphere, you don't fight it or judge yourself. You simply shift your emotional investment to the light sphere, starving one while nourishing the other. Over time, the positive sphere becomes so dominant that negativity loses its grip entirely. Your reality then reflects this internal shift, and what once seemed like impossible dreams become inevitable outcomes. This symbiotic relationship between your emotions and these energetic entities determines everything: the quality of opportunities that appear, the people you attract, the speed at which your intentions materialize into form. Secret societies obsessed over something most people completely miss. The now isn't just a moment in time, it's the only moment where creation actually happens. The Rosicrucians taught their initiates a principle that sounds simple but holds transformative power. In the embrace of the present lies the magic of the future. What they meant wasn't some philosophical abstraction about mindfulness. They understood that feeling good right now, in this exact moment, sends a signal to the universe that you're ready to receive. Not tomorrow, not when circumstances improve, but immediately. This present moment activation functions as the ignition switch for everything that follows. Most people live in a perpetual state of emotional postponement. They'll feel grateful when the money arrives, joyful when the relationship manifests, peaceful when the problem resolves. This creates a vibrational deadlock that keeps dreams perpetually out of reach. The universe doesn't respond to future intentions, it responds to present frequency. When you wait to feel good until after you receive what you want, you're broadcasting lack and absence. That's the exact signal that keeps your desires at arm's length, always one step ahead but never quite within grasp. These societies knew that reversing this pattern changes everything. Generate the emotion now before any evidence appears, and you activate what they called the cosmic beacon, a signal so powerful that reality has no choice but to reorganize itself around your frequency. Think about how most people approach their desires. They look at their current circumstances, see the absence of what they want, and let that absence dictate their emotional state. Empty bank account equals anxiety. No relationship equals loneliness. Unfulfilling job equals frustration. They're using their present reality as the reason they can't feel good, not realizing they've got the entire process backward. Secret teachings emphasize that your current reality is simply the aftermath of past emotional broadcasts. It's old news, a reflection of yesterday's frequency. The moment you decide to feel differently now, regardless of what your eyes show you, you begin transmitting a new signal that will create tomorrow's reality. This isn't about forcing fake positivity or pretending problems don't exist. It's about recognizing that your current emotional state is literally programming what comes next. If you can't access genuine joy about your desires right now, if you can't feel the reality of having them already in this present moment, then all the visualization and affirmations in the world won't bridge that gap. You can spend hours imagining your perfect life, but if you return to anxiety and doubt the moment you open your eyes, you've just cancelled the order you placed with the universe. The emotional state you maintain most consistently wins, and that state must be cultivated now, not later. The present moment is where your power lives. It's where the energetic ball gets fed, where emotions transmit their frequency, where the universe reads your vibrational signature and begins orchestrating the matching reality. Ancient practitioners would spend years mastering this single principle because they understood its magnitude. When you genuinely feel abundant now, you stop chasing abundance. It starts chasing you. When you embody peace now, chaotic circumstances lose their power to disturb your frequency. When you radiate joy now, opportunities aligned with that joy begin appearing seemingly out of nowhere. Delay feeling good, and you delay everything you want. Embrace it now, despite what your current circumstances suggest, and watch how rapidly your external world reshapes itself to reflect that internal shift. The future you desire isn't built tomorrow, it's built right now, in this moment, with the emotional frequency you choose to broadcast. There's a massive difference between sending the universe a message and engaging it in genuine dialogue. Most people broadcast their desires sporadically, intense focus one day, complete neglect the next. They visualize their dreams Monday morning, then spend Monday afternoon complaining about why nothing's changing. This inconsistency doesn't just slow manifestation, it creates static interference that confuses the signal entirely. Secret societies understood that consistency isn't about rigid repetition or forcing yourself through robotic routines. It's about establishing a rhythmic cadence with reality itself, a steady drumbeat of intentional frequency that the universe learns to anticipate and respond to with increasing precision. Think of it like tuning into a radio station. If you keep switching frequencies, you'll catch fragments of different broadcasts but never hear a complete song. Consistency means staying locked onto your chosen frequency long enough for the universe to deliver the full transmission. Ancient teachings emphasized that this steady alignment creates what they called a sacred bond with yourself, an unspoken oath that regardless of what obstacles appear, regardless of how long results take to materialize, you won't waver from your chosen emotional state. This commitment transforms manifestation from a hopeful experiment into an inevitable outcome. The challenge most people face isn't understanding consistency, it's maintaining it when doubt creeps in. You might feel abundant and joyful for 3 days straight, then receive a bill you can't pay, and instantly your frequency crashes. In that moment, you've essentially told the universe to disregard everything you transmitted for those 3 days. Secret societies trained their members to view setbacks differently. Instead of seeing challenges as evidence that manifestation isn't working, they recognize them as tests of commitment. The universe doesn't hand you desires the moment you ask. It watches to see if you'll maintain your frequency even when circumstances suggest you shouldn't. This is where most people abandon their dreams, right before the breakthrough. They put in days or weeks of consistent emotional alignment, nothing visible changes, and they conclude it's not working. What they don't realize is that manifestation operates on a lag. Your current reality reflects past frequencies, while your consistent present frequency is busy constructing future reality behind the scenes. There's always a gap between transmission and reception, between broadcast and manifestation. Consistency means holding your signal steady during that gap, trusting that your repeated emotional broadcasts are accumulating power even when you can't see evidence yet. The societies that guarded this knowledge didn't just practice consistency, they built their entire initiation process around it. Members would maintain specific practices for months or years, not because results required that much time, but because the discipline of unwavering commitment was the actual lesson. When you prove to yourself that you can hold a frequency regardless of external circumstances, regardless of how long it takes, regardless of what others say or think, you've unlocked something far more valuable than any single manifestation. You've mastered the art of cosmic communication, and from that point forward, the universe stops treating you like someone who occasionally sends requests and starts responding to you like a fluent speaker of its language. Your beliefs aren't just opinions about reality. They're the invisible ceiling that determines how much you can actually receive. Secret societies recognize that most people sabotage their own manifestations, not through lack of desire or inconsistent practice, but through self-imposed limitations on what they genuinely believe is possible for them specifically. You might believe manifestation works in general, even see it work for others, but deep down harbor doubt that it applies to your situation. That doubt creates a boundary, and the universe will never deliver anything beyond the edge of what you truly believe you can have. These groups taught a systematic approach to expanding believability. They didn't tell members to suddenly believe in massive transformations overnight. That creates internal resistance and actually reinforces the limitation. Instead, they used what they called the expansion technique. Start with something small, something that feels achievable but still requires manifestation to work. A parking spot exactly where you need it, an unexpected $20, a text from someone you were thinking about. These aren't insignificant. They're proof of concept, evidence that your consciousness genuinely influences reality. Each small manifestation stretches your believability sphere slightly wider. Picture a child staring at a blank canvas, overwhelmed by the enormity of creating something meaningful. They can't envision the final masterpiece because they've never painted before. But with the first brushstroke, something shifts, then another stroke. Gradually, they begin seeing not just what is, but what could be. Your believability works the same way. Each manifestation, no matter how minor it seems, paints a stroke on your internal canvas of possibility. The person who manifests parking spots consistently will eventually believe they can manifest rent money. The person who manifests rent money will eventually believe they can manifest the entire building. The critical mistake people make is trying to leap from "I'm broke and struggling" directly to "I believe I'm a millionaire." That gap is too wide, and your subconscious mind knows it. It rejects the new belief as fantasy, and that rejection broadcasts louder than your conscious affirmations. Secret teachings emphasized meeting yourself where you actually are, then systematically expanding from that point. If you're in debt, don't try to believe you're wealthy. Believe you can receive an unexpected $100 this week. When that manifests, believe you can receive $500 next week. Build your believability through documented evidence, not wishful thinking. This is why these societies kept detailed records of manifestations, not for bragging rights, but as tangible proof that progressively dissolved limiting beliefs. When doubt crept in, they could point to dozens of instances where their consciousness shaped reality exactly as intended. That evidence becomes unshakable foundation. Your mind can rationalize away one coincidence, maybe two, but it can't dismiss 20 successful manifestations as random luck. At some point, the weight of evidence forces your belief system to expand, and when it does, you suddenly find yourself capable of receiving things that previously seemed impossible. Breaking through believability barriers isn't about positive thinking or repeating affirmations you don't actually believe. It's about strategically building proof that reshapes your internal sense of what's possible. The societies that mastered this didn't produce members who believed in manifestation. They produced members who knew it worked because they had undeniable personal evidence. That knowing bypasses doubt entirely, and once you genuinely know rather than hope or believe, the universe responds to a completely different frequency. Doors that remained invisible suddenly appear, opportunities you couldn't have imagined align perfectly, and the dreams that once seemed like distant fantasies become inevitable realities unfolding in real time. Everything you've discovered up to this point converges into a formula so elegant that its simplicity is almost deceptive. Secret societies didn't guard this knowledge because it was complicated. They protected it because most people would dismiss it as too straightforward to be powerful. But that's exactly what makes it work. The formula has 5 integrated components, and when you align all 5 simultaneously, manifestation stops being a hopeful practice and becomes a predictable science. First, emotional architecture. You're no longer allowing emotions to happen to you randomly. You're deliberately constructing the emotional frequency that matches your desired reality. Not occasionally, not when you remember, but as your default state. This means waking up and immediately tuning into the feeling of already having what you want. It means catching yourself when doubt or fear emerge and consciously redirecting that energy toward the positive sphere. Your emotions become tools you wield with precision, not reactions you passively experience. Second, energetic cultivation. You understand that 2 spheres exist and you're actively choosing which one receives your attention. Every thought is a deposit into one sphere or the other. Every emotion feeds one or starves the other. You stop entertaining worst-case scenarios not because you're avoiding reality, but because you recognize those scenarios as investments into the negative sphere. You replay moments of joy, anticipate positive outcomes, and immerse yourself in gratitude, not as forced positivity, but as strategic energy management. The positive sphere grows, accelerates, and begins pulling your desires toward you with magnetic force. Third, present moment activation. You've abandoned the trap of waiting to feel good until evidence appears. You feel it now, completely, as if your desire already exists in physical form. When you think about what you want, you don't project it into some distant future. You experience the emotional reality of having it right now. This collapses the time gap between intention and manifestation because you're no longer broadcasting lack. You're broadcasting fulfillment, and the universe responds by making your external reality match that internal frequency. Fourth, unwavering consistency. This isn't about perfection. You'll have moments where doubt creeps in, where circumstances shake your confidence, where maintaining your frequency feels impossible. Secret societies knew this. What separates those who manifest from those who don't isn't the absence of doubt. It's the refusal to let doubt derail the entire process. You acknowledge the fear, you feel the uncertainty, then you return to your chosen frequency anyway. Day after day, regardless of what your current reality shows you, you maintain the signal. This consistency transforms sporadic messages into sustained dialogue, and the universe begins responding with increasing precision. Fifth, systematic belief expansion. You're not trying to convince yourself of anything your subconscious finds ridiculous. You're building evidence through progressive manifestations. Start small, document everything, and let each success stretch your believability wider. As your sphere of possibility expands, so does your capacity to receive. What once seemed impossible becomes merely improbable, then plausible, then inevitable. You're not chasing belief, you're creating it through undeniable personal experience. When these 5 elements work together, something profound happens. You stop being someone who occasionally tries to manifest and become someone who lives in constant co-creation with reality itself. The formula isn't sequential. You don't master one element, then move to the next. They operate simultaneously, each one reinforcing the others. Your consistent emotional frequency feeds the positive energy sphere, which makes present moment activation easier, which builds evidence that expands your believability, which strengthens your consistency. It's a self-reinforcing cycle that gains momentum the longer you maintain it. Here's what secret societies knew that changes everything. This formula doesn't belong to them. It never did. They simply recognized universal principles that were always accessible to anyone willing to understand and apply them. The knowledge was hidden not to keep it from you, but to ensure it reached people ready to use it properly. Now you have it. Not theoretical concepts or philosophical abstractions, but a precise system that transforms consciousness into physical reality. The question isn't whether this works. Countless practitioners throughout history have proven it does. The question is whether you'll actually implement it. Most people will watch this, find it interesting, maybe even believe it's true, then return to their default patterns without changing anything. They'll keep waiting for external circumstances to improve before they feel good. They'll keep feeding the negative energy sphere with worry and doubt. They'll keep broadcasting inconsistent signals and wondering why nothing changes. Don't be most people. You now understand what took secret societies years of initiation to teach their members. You have the complete formula: emotional architecture, energetic cultivation, present moment activation, unwavering consistency, and systematic belief expansion. The only thing standing between your current reality and the life you desire is your willingness to apply this consistently, regardless of how long it takes, regardless of what obstacles appear, regardless of whether you see immediate results. If this resonated with you, if you recognize the power in what's been shared here, do two things right now. First, subscribe to this channel because we're going to keep breaking down the hidden knowledge that shapes reality, the techniques that actually work, the formulas that secret societies spent centuries perfecting. This is just the beginning. Second, drop a comment below sharing which element of this formula challenged you most: emotional architecture, energy management, present moment power, consistency, or belief expansion. Your engagement helps this reach others who need to hear it, and sharing your insights creates accountability for your own manifestation journey. And hit that like button because every like tells the algorithm to share this with more people who are ready for this knowledge. The societies that once guarded these teachings operated in darkness. We're bringing them into the light, making them accessible to anyone committed to transforming their reality. You have the formula. Now use it. Your future self is waiting for you to broadcast the frequency that creates the life they're already living.